We're back, Sports Buds, segment 2. Got a little hot in here. I lost my jacket, but we're back. We're going to talk about some player award predictions. And so I got my trusty notebook here. I'm going to dive into some notes and some predictions. We'll get right into it for you. This will be a short episode for you. Nick, we're going to start with you.
Yes, sir. I think you just wanted to take off that shirt just to rub it in a little bit more. I don't
See
think it was
that?
getting hot in there.
See that? Nipples getting hard.
This episode just took a turn.
And we've just been flagged by YouTube. So
demonetized.
Please enter your birth date to watch this episode. All right. Let's start with Defensive Player of the Year. Start with you, Nick. Who's your prediction for DPOY?
Defensive Player of the Year. I think I got to go with the same pick I went with last year, Tony's guy Parsons. I still think he's the best defensive player in the NFL, so why not be Defensive Player of the Year?
Not shocking. Not really shocking. Tony, do you have something actually shocking?
Nope, I'm on board. I'm agreed. He's the best defensive player in the football. Give him the award.
All right. I was gonna say Micah Parsons, but just for the sake of being different, I'm gonna go with a long shot. I'll say Max Crosby is my long shot DPOY. That guy just seems to do amazing things, and they're gonna need him this year with the Raiders. I'll see him week 1 against the Broncos up close and personal. So
I think that quarterback show rubbed you a little bit toward that decision right there. The way he irritated Patrick Mahomes, I think
it did.
Might assuage you a little bit.
It did. You found a bias. All right. Let's go with, we've made up a category here. It's a little ambiguous, but just to pad some time here. Biggest comeback or breakout player this season. Tony, I'll start with you.
Kenny Pickett of the Steelers, breaking out with the weapons they have around him and the situation that Mike Tomlin will create. I know that team's going to the playoffs. Kenny Pickett breaks out.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go hometown here. Javonte Williams. I think we'll have a breakout season if he stays healthy as running back. Nick, who do you have for your breakout or comeback player?
For me, it's going to be Tua because he's going to play 17 games this year and he's going to show the NFL what he can do.
All right. We'll stop here a little bit. What did you think of Tua? Kind of this year, seemingly he's pushing back against the media. Last year he was quiet. We saw a lot of teammates come to his defense. Especially Tyreek seemed to be the guy out front the most. Like, what did you think of just some of the pushback we've seen from him?
I think he's just finally standing up for himself. He's finally comfortable in a system. Those first couple years under Brian Flores, he would have never have said any of these things. But I think each day he's getting more and more comfortable, and having a coach like Mike McDaniel is only going to help that. He's turning into his own person. So I'd love the standing up for himself, pushing back on it, because he shouldn't be having to answer questions about his physique and what some analyst thinks about his body type.
Totally agree. Isn't there a story of like Mike McDaniel, like just basically seeing a different attitude from Tua,
taking more command of the entire team.
Yeah, and he wanted him to apply that more to football. And I don't know, do you think Mike McDaniel's had some influence on this as well?
Of course, 100%. From day one when he made that phone call on the plane over here, telling him he was going to get greatness out of him, get the best version of himself, he's did everything he said he would do. So the 100%.
Love to see it. Hey, just like Javonte Williams, just stay healthy. For the
Yes.
love of God, just stay healthy.
Yes.
All right, go to awards that actually matter. Coach of the year. I'll start with myself. Last season, big Dan the Man Campbell fan. I'm gonna ride it out. I'm not gonna ride it out so much with the Lions, as you'll see in further episodes. But Dan Campbell, I'll stick with you for Coach of the Year. Nick, who do you got for Coach of the Year? I don't
I
think
mean,
this
I'm
one's gonna surprise me.
I'm piggybacking right off of what I was just saying. I think year 2, Mike McDaniel, he's got this full off season. He has the players he wants around him. May add a couple more before because we have a week before final cutdowns. There's always movement there. I think that year 2, he has his system. I think we see some more things out of him and he wins Coach of the Year.
All right. Mr. Parlay, who do you got for Coach of the Year?
Arthur Smith and that Falcons team, man. He's a very smart coach, very creative. I could
Noted
see this.
Falcons owner, Arthur Smith.
I could see that Falcons team having a lot of success. Bijan, Cordarrelle Patterson, Tyler Algier in the backfield. He's creating this like positionless football on offense. Kyle Pitts. I could see him trying to create something similar to what Shanahan and McDaniel do, where they have tight ends run the ball, wide receivers run the ball. Bijan goes out and runs routes. Like I could see something like that happening, and he seems like he's a little bit ahead of the curve. So I like what I'm seeing from the Falcons. So I'm going to bet on him to be Coach of the Year.
All right, Tony, I'm gonna stay with you. We're gonna go back to fake ambiguous awards. Biggest bust for the season. The Sports Budz biggest bust.
Ugh. Joe Burrow. The Bengals don't make
Wow.
the playoffs. I think that they have a very difficult division. I see Joe Burrow has a calf injury already. He hasn't been able to practice all preseason. I think their first 2 games are Browns Ravens. I don't really like how that's setting up for them. And that division's so close. I think that they take a step back. They missed the playoffs this year. Joe Burrow, biggest disappointment.
All right then. That's a bold take. Nick, who do you got?
That was very surprising to me.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. We were talking about in the break. If you look at those 2 teams, like the weapons he had last year compared to the weapons he have this year, some of the guys are the exact same and the others around it are basically the same. And that pushed him to the point of wanting to retire. So I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a bust this year. I don't think that Jets team does what they're anticipating.
God, I hope so. Well, speaking of related quarterback, my biggest bust is going to be Jordan Love. I think the Packers are going to have a very brutal season under his lead. And yeah, hate to see it. All right, back to real awards, the realest of them all. And I'm going to start with myself since Tony poo-pooed on it. My MVP pick of the year was Joe Burrow.
I hope it still is. I hope it still is. Did I convince you otherwise?
If anyone's getting any info from this show, you're getting some conflicting things here. So, Nick, who do you have for MVP?
I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes because until anyone can prove otherwise, he's still the best player in the NFL. Because last year I was just saying he threw the ball up there to Tyreek. He lost Tyreek. What does he go out and do? He wins a Super Bowl. So I'm going Patrick Mahomes.
I really hope to have an off year. Just,
Don't we all? It's turning into what we used to feel about the Patriots.
hope they miss a few things this season.
This is the same show that told you Patrick Mahomes was a system quarterback.
mean, prove me wrong. Tony, who do you have for MVP?
Picking Lamar Jackson to win MVP. I think the Ravens finally giving him some weapons, and Odell Beckham and Zay Flowers is gonna elevate that passing offense, and I think the Ravens are gonna make some noise this year in the AFC.
We'll see.
Note that in your book. Note that in your book.
Can write that down. That ends this segment for now. We'll catch you in part 3 here in a couple days. We're gonna have our conference predictions, Super Bowl predictions, the stuff that matters. We're just working into that show, really. But hey, I'm gonna write some notes down. We'll catch you in a couple days. I'm Chris Billings. That's Nick Kerr. That's Tony Reyes. We'll catch you later.
Thanks for watching the Sports Budz. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe.